All right, everybody, welcome back. Second installment of our very informal videos. Remember, use these as a tool to figure out what you need to refresh on, strengthen up on certain things, or maybe push yourself to coming down and working with the truck. And or as I've talked with a couple team members, if you're on duty, working with a couple guys, or you don't want to show your crew, you can get into the truck. Okay, I keep pointing over there because that's where it is. You can get into the truck and take stuff and practice with it. You know, downtime, company level, your basic rigging systems. Just make sure you make a really good attempt to get it back by the end of the business day or the end of the shift at the worst. So the next crew or when we need it, it is available to us. Okay. I want to keep that plan going. You guys have all been really good about stuff like that. But if stuff starts, staying at an outstation for a couple of days and it's not on there, we'll have to revisit. Hopefully that doesn't happen. The big goal is just to get you guys to have fun with it. Get some of the training time, as we talked about in the first video. We're looking a little bit short, and we're going to have to get creative for this year coming up. Reminder, we're going to date this video essentially next Wednesday, the 17th. We're doing the 5th Wednesday with multi-agency. We're expecting now between 70 and 100 people is what it looks like. We're going to break into groups. I've already confirmed, and you know who you are, with 10 of you that are in attendance that can join. Assignments will be to come on that. But just assume, as the original idea of these videos was to be objective, get some skill set. The first video of anchors today with our descent control device, DCD, the Petzl ID. Some pick and pivot stuff and packaging stuff is going to be closer to what the snare is based on. I want to make sure we go out there, perform well, and perform safe, most importantly, with a bunch of other people that we don't know their skill sets around us. So, cruising through that, I'm about 40 seconds shorter than my first attempt at this. We're going to cover the Petzl ID again today. For many of us, this is our bread and butter. I know some of you have a more fond liking of the MPD or specific uses when you like to use them, particularly heavy hauling. The friction coefficient's a little bit better. But this is what most of us are comfortable with, and it gets the job done and has multiple uses for us. So I'm going to spend a couple minutes doing basic operation of this device. Then we're going to get into a little bit of rigging stuff. Using this lowering, raising, and delaying is the main principle. So we're not going to cover rappelling stuff too much, but hopefully the basic view of it works. So starting kind of ground up, refresher level. If we're looking at the device, ignore the blue and yellow tape. This is, of course, just our markings for our team. What I want everybody to remember and recognize on this device, just so we build muscle memory and recognition, so assuming I hold it by the handle here, this looks like when it's closed, a red teardrop or water droplet. All right? So whenever we use this device, whether it be on ourselves in a rappel fashion or on an anchor, such as would be on the truck, maybe I can get the angle correct there, this will always be oriented in an inverse teardrop shape, bigger to smaller. Okay, no matter what we do on that. So remember that as step one to this device. All right, as I open the device, remember it's cammed. Not a big deal, especially after a couple months of lag or so. You will not be able to load this device with it in the lock position. That cam gets smaller and loads in there. So just a little cleanliness, housekeeping idea. What I want to try to get away from, and what Petzl has actually done with their new prototypes that are going to be released, is these markings on the device. I want to try to stay away from those. The new ones don't have them at all because they created confusion. If I zoom in real close, you remember there's the bite on the rope, works down in the device. It even has these fancy word up written on it, but that's not how we use this device. So eliminate that from your thought process. Remember step one, inverse teardrop. As I open this device, I'm going to try to orient myself so you can get it as best as possible. My handle's going to be up into my left in my left hand. What I'd like to see is practice starting, and this typically ensures that we get it right every time, is that when I'm loading this device, I place it in my left hand. Okay? This is a left-sided device, and you're going to start seeing a bunch of L's coming up in this walkthrough here. So now I have a rope. I have a bite on the rope, so that could be either at my anchor or my person or my packaging that I'm lowering. All right? So if I start with the device in my left hand, I know that wherever my bite goes to, that line is going to end up being loaded. There's my second L, left hand, loaded line. Okay? I'm going to pinch that loaded line in my left thumb. There we go. We're keeping going with the L's. I take my trailing end, okay, wrap that through my device. Okay? Run it through that direction. If I pull this up, whether I'm rappelling or that's going to my load, or my package or my person that I'm lowering, rescuer, that's always going to be the loaded line in my left hand. I'll then swing the device closed. My trailing end, luckily enough, is rope, correct? That goes in my right hand. So we have 2 R's followed by our series of L's. All right, so keep working on that. I'll do this one more time for repetition. Start with this device open in my left hand. Pinch the loaded line, whatever it's going to be, in my left hand. Okay, use my right hand to wrap the rope to the right side of the device. There's L's and R's in this system. All right, so I got a couple guys hanging out with me here, a couple clicks in the background. Any questions or clarifications from anybody? All right. So again, I think if you practice those rules right there, you're going to have a lot more success and consistency in getting this right the first time. Now that does not omit the fact that we need to do a system check whenever we lock this in to make sure it functions properly. When we apply load or leverage to that line, it should lock itself with the cam out. Okay? So there's your basic overview refresher on loading this device. Bear with me, we're going to try to work over to an anchor here for the most part. Okay? And we're going to keep with less, okay? So this device, if possible, you're going to be a little bit opposite anchors. I apologize. Listen to my voice and what I'm telling you quite a bit more. This is my left, so it's going to be opposite, potentially for you guys on the screen. I want to load this into an anchor plate. Remember from anchor class last week, we always try to use anchor plates. It gives us adaptability. I'm going to click my Petzl ID into my system, okay? So it's on the loaded line is on the left of the device. Right hand, it's my trailing rope. I'm on the left side of the anchor plate. We're staying pretty basic on this system now. Ignore this for a moment. I'm going to feed some rope out. One of my guys is going to apply some tension. Okay? So this device, whenever we're stopped or working, we want to apply the rule of putting it in the working position. Okay? I'm not going to go into any details about the new one if any of you have seen it thus far. But all the way to the right is the locked closed position. Okay? When we're operating in a scenario, if at any point we're low staffing or if there's a reason for you or somebody else that needs to walk away, come to the trailing end of the rope here, the brake strand as I'm going to start calling it. Come back here, make a bite, and tie an overhand or a mule knot, whichever one you prefer, in the rope. Okay? What this is going to do is provide an indicator that somebody was operating this device and that I need to figure out what's going on before I touch anything. There is a potential in longer lowers in the rescue operations where something happened, but somebody or a human may be loaded on that. Okay, so just a basic one there. Tie an indicator of some sort in that system. Could be as simple as a knot, independent from the loaded line, just to jam into the device. All right. So, in essence, if I'm operating this device, again, I'm going to stand on the left side of it as the anatomically correct and most comfortable position for you. Okay? The right brake strand is in my right hand, the rope. Right? This is what controls the speed. The misconception is that this handle controls the speed. Well, yes, it does have a variable cam on it. This is an open and close. This is a park versus drive lever. This is the throttle over here. Okay? So, I'm going to maintain them grass, keep my hand at least 6 to 8 inches away from it. I never feed rope. I let it slide through. All right. So when I grab the lever, there's an L in my left hand. I can crack that open. It's all the way open now, and I'm holding the tension in my right brake strand hand. I can start releasing that and lowering. Okay. See how my hand doesn't work forward or have to do any jumpy stuff here? Don't let that move. Just let it slide through. If I let go, the cam will close and it'll be in a stop position. Likewise, if I'm moving in a sudden jolt or something that happens to me, I click it back, anti-panic function. Okay? To get this to run smoother, pile your rope on the right-hand side of you here. Alright, so there's your basic operation. I'm going to use these 4 guys as resources that are staying in the background. Any expansion that anybody sees or wants to step into the video. Anybody? Okay. So there's your basic operation for one person. Lowers, okay, or one person operation. Now, assuming I have a Stokes basket, sked, anything that needs an attendant and or 2 rescuers attached, there may be a scenario. I'm going to start working my way to the right of the anchor plate. All right, I'm going to put a second carabiner in there. All we have is lockers, but it doesn't necessarily need to be. But I try to run my gate open, okay, and I'm going to put it through that second carabiner, okay. It's going to be running back. Now this is where it gets a little bit more difficult sometimes because your brain doesn't want to work this way. I'm going to redirect it. It's applying additional friction to the system. So now, same principle, the rope's going to slide through my hand for throttle control. I'm going to have a forward torque towards it on my right hand, same hand still. Then I can operate my lever with as normal. Okay? Richie's going to start applying force to it, and you'll see how much easier this gets. Okay, and we actually got a second guy jumping on. My cam is completely open. I have 2 fingers on this trailing brake hand right now, and I've stopped them in their tracks. Okay, so there's your second person. Second person equals second carabiner. All right, I can pull that out. That also works well when we start getting into mechanical advantages, which we're going to cover here in just a second as I grab some gear. All right, so again, the beauty of this device, I can start lowering if I need to transition. Remember, particularly in confined space, I need an immediate means of retrieval available to me. I need at least a 3-to-1 system in place. So you need at least one pulley, a Rescucender, or some device that gets me that ability. All right, so if I've got an anchor plate set up, my options start working very well. So what I'm going to do now is come back. And I think everybody at this point should from the spring have seen the Rescucender. This is just a new style Gibbs that's been brought out. You're able to put the pulley into it, and unlike the older style, you can leave this connected in there for the most part because of the way that this opens and unlocks. I'm going to zoom in here because I want what I've started to see a little bit of an issue in loading on rope. People are fighting this and they say, I don't like this device. Well, that's a human error in loading it. So if you see my boot in the black part here, right? What people are having a tendency to do is putting that boot down towards the ground or down towards the rope. Well, that increases the size and scope of the cam, okay? And it creates less space to pinch the rope down in. So people start getting jammed and fighting with it, okay? The spine, and I'm going to pull this carabiner here. The spine of this is pretty flat and level right here, okay? So if I take this after my rope is loaded into it, okay, and I leave this spine parallel to my rope, drop it in, and apply light tension towards the back of the Rescucender, this being the back, it drops right in, okay? Likewise, when I'm unloading, double redundancy on these, 2-handed action, okay? I'm going to open those. I'm going to tilt this cam all the way back and just push it forward. It decreases the profile. That will make loading this device onto rope much, much easier. All right, so what I'm going to construct now is a 3-to-1. One person loads, it works pretty decent. One person loads over friction, aka railing or low point. 3-to-1 is going to start suffering a little bit. Remember, with mechanical advantages, we end up with a pull factor. Okay, so that's your mechanical advantage number, aka in this scenario 3-to-1, times the number of people that are pulling. Let's say I'm going to have 1 right now by myself. That's a 3-to-1 pull factor. Okay, if I have a 4-to-1 system with 4 pullers, I end up with a 16-to-1 pull factor. Right, so we want to develop systems that basically get us in line with a 15-to-1 pull factor or greater. Okay, we don't want to exceed 25 under any circumstance. We're putting too much torque on the systems and start breaking gear. Right, so a 5-to-1 system, like with the Petzl Jag short haul system and 4 pullers, we're at a 20-to-1 pull factor. Right, you're going to start seeing the difference when you line up and calculate a 15-to-1 versus maybe a 10, you're going to see the immediate difference in the ease of operating that system. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to load this device on. Now I'll try to get back in the frame of view here. It's on the rope. It's working pretty good. I got a good view. I'm going to make sure that spine is parallel. I'm going to drop it in and just push it onto the rope. Okay, this gets harder with tension rope sometimes, but that clicked in nice and easy. Okay, so it's a good way to make your life easier. I come in with my carabiner. And I didn't cover this maybe necessarily last time, but carabiners for all of our systems in most all scenarios, if you grab the gate with your index or thumb, and you take it and you tomahawk it or push it down in and rotate it 180 degrees, your gates will end up open. They'll protect the carabiner and be a better safety indicator. Okay. Now what I end up doing is I pull my brake strand, because now we're in a raising system. Okay, I pull that up. And I run it through a pulley. We'll have some new pulleys that are going to make your life real easy coming in pretty soon that everybody's going to fight for, probably in the next week or so. I load that into my pulley. Okay. Essentially now, created a simple 3-to-1. Okay. If you guys need help, again, with all of this Petzl stuff, use their website, use their tech tips, right? They have the best website of any company I've seen, and they will show you all of these systems, right? My original load line, it's on the left of my ID. I just created a 2-to-1 on a pulley here. It's a simple 3-to-1 system. All right, so now I need to open my cam device here, okay? Otherwise, I will end up slacking my loaded line, and I can apply force. Remember, one person, 3-to-1, I have a 3-to-1 pull factor. It compresses and progress captures at the same time. That's why Z-rigs and NPD and Petzl ID are really slick systems. When I need to reset, I can simply let go, the cam will catch it, and I can reset by extending this out. Okay? So, there's a simple 3-to-1 system. Okay? Now, we'll switch this over to a 5-to-1. What is usually helpful to people for your immediate means of retrieval is to keep a pulley or a double pulley, carabiner, and Rescucender just tied together right off the bat. You can grab it, put it on, or take it off quickly. Okay? So, on a 5-to-1, to make things a little bit cleaner, I'm going to grab a double pulley. And he's going to grab me, oh, I have my second carabiner for my lower, for my redirect. So life just got easy there. All right, I'm going to build a 3-to-1. Okay, I'm going to come into my system here. I'm going to go ahead and just put it in the carabiner. I've got the top bracket open right now. Okay, I'm going to come back down towards the device, and next to it, I'm going to put another pulley into the system. Okay, now I'm going to put that into my redirect. Okay, and I can close that because I only need one pulley at the bottom of it. Try to clean this up so it's visually better for everybody here as well. Remember, the cleaner your systems are, aka no ropes are traveling over the top of themselves, you'll get less friction and it'll be easier to pull. So now I'll apply into my first load pulley through the second turn there, okay, and I'll clip it in. Okay, so basically all we've done from the 3-to-1 is now create 2 of those, but it makes a 5. There's 1 set, 2 set, and a third load line. So I count on a simple system. I can count my lines moving with the load, and I'll be pulling this. My load is coming towards me, so they're going the same direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's my 5-to-1. If I get 2 people in here, it's not bad. If I have a rescue load, 3 to 4 people minimum to get this moving. 4 people on this system is going to get you moving. Now I can apply my force. My load starts coming with me. Something happens, resets, I can just slack into it nice and easy, and I can provide my resets into the system to extend it. Alright guys, so there's your lowering system, your raising system. Remember the adaptability, and as a safety bullet point now, what I've seen a few times is we're lowering and there's an obstruction, a ledge, a manhole, something in there where the person then says, as we're raising, hey, I got jammed up, I need to be lowered. What I do not want to see is this system stay in place and for somebody to come back and simply grab the handle to let people out. Okay, under tension, with even 200 pounds, ask teammate Bill Hins, if somebody grabs this, you're most likely going to go 2 to 4 feet in about a 1/10 of a second, and you're going to get hurt probably. So what I'd like as practice until we get very advanced and you've shown high competency is go ahead and pull your system off. Okay, you can redo it. We'll save time. We're not going to waste that much. You come back, find my original strand, brake hand strand, put it in its proper position, and then lower. And then when I'm done, I will reestablish my mechanical advantage. That'll be a big safety tip for us there. All right. So we got lowers, which remember, lowering is no different than putting it on yourself, okay, in a rappel fashion. It's just me, brake hand. If I do a pickoff and have a second, I need a redirect carabiner. Advise to put it over on your load positioning loop, then you'll be pulling up to get that second person friction. All right, so there's a lowering system.